Okay, so possibly the first live game of these European Championships. The next game, playing in white, is Great Britain, and in black is France for the Women's Elite Round Robin. Referees look like they're ready to go. And play begins. And it's the French who race out to the puck first. Fiona Maynard with her first start of the competition, trying to bring the puck out towards this left wall. Held up on the wall by the French, and then Rachel Hickey. Now
you have to go through the electronics then.
Rachel Hickey just pausing the game down.
So you have the wires there blocking signal. So.
No. French making a 45 swim to the left-hand side. Something that's quite stereotypical about their play so far through these championships. Exploited that a lot against the Spanish ladies earlier in the day. And a stick infringement against Great Britain. So they're getting pushed back by this French team. The last time these two teams met, they were in Quebec City in Canada for the quarter-final, which Great Britain went on to win 5-0. But it looks like it's a younger and bit of a different French team to that time, as Great Britain look like they've cut out the switch. No, they've just forced them to make sure they go backwards. There's Fiona Kirkby. On the left wall, Rachel Hickey lines up behind her, ready for the rotation. A little bit of a communication mix-up as two players went for the same puck for GB there. Play still trying to come down the GB wall. France still on the drive, trying to get in some back tackles there, the GB girls. France with the puck on the back wall now. Michelle McWhinney down, trying to get the puck further forward. Lauren Aisbett there coming down, trying to help out her defensive back tackling. Janet Fletcher in the centre there, just trying to help control the game for Great Britain. But we have another stoppage. And this one is an illegal use of the free arm against France. So Great Britain will have their advantage puck on their own 5-metre line. GB trying to come through the central channel, forced back out wide to the wall. There's Lauren Aisbett there, goes out and subs. Michelle McWhinney surfaces, and France go on the offensive once again, but play is stopped. Advantage puck to Great Britain, and number 2 Black has got a warning for an illegal use of the free arm. And away goes Alyssa Oates, who is forced onto the wall. It's Fiona Kirkby there, trying to get things up and moving again. And just as Great Britain try and do a midline switch, we have once again another stoppage. And it's going to be an advantage puck to France. So a very stop-start to the opening 3.5 minutes of this Women's Elite Round Robin game. And France now getting us underway once again. The flick through, a bit more centralised this time, and just as GB try and think they're on the way out, they get cut out by a French defender. Fiona Kirkby trying to stop the play down the wall there. Rachel Hickey on the wall trying to take on 3 French players and doing rather well. France have them firmly locked in the corner, but the backline rotation and Janet Fletcher there ready to try and neutralise any threat to come down that back wall. I can see Kim Mokes and Fee Kirkby on the back wall. 4 bodies down for GB, really making sure that their French have no extra players down that can exploit any gaps in their defence. Puck comes out, and Looks like GB have gained a little bit of possession, trying to play the puck through to Lauren Aysbit, but not quite come off this time, and we have another stoppage, which will come as a relief to Great Britain. It was an advantage being played for illegal advancement, so it's going to be advantage to France once again. In a dangerous position, the puck will be placed on the 5 and 2. Let's see how the French decide to do this. Just if you look, you can see number 2 there lining up ready to make sure it goes down the back wall. They do often go to that player. A bit more direct that time, and GB taking the puck out to safe place in the corner. Rachel Hickey trying to make a move down the barrier. GB on the very defensive so far within this match. And it's going to be a referee's timeout. So Alyssa Oates ready to get us going once again. She swims and gets the flick forward, trying to get it through the French melee. But it's on the wall, and there's a familiar face to GB hockey players in Maud Gins playing for the French ladies team. And now we're going to have an advantage puck in favour of GB. In France. So France still in the GB half. Well placed. GB still trying to find a way out of their own half for the first time in the game. Coming up to 7 minutes gone. Scores still Great Britain 0, France 0. The puck's brought out towards the wall. Trying to just reset using the subs bin, which is closer for GB than it is for everybody else in that French team. Rachel Hickey just bombarded 3 French players around her and not able to make her way out of her defensive end. Some unsportsmanlike conduct called. And the player is going to be coming out for 2 minutes, and it's number 12 for France. So Great Britain will have the first 6-on-5 matchup in the game. And away goes Janet Fletcher this time in the centre, trying to get it through. And the French just being able to cut out these flicks and come away with them and turning defence into attack rather quickly, as they now try and go down the central channel towards the goal tray. Play on the far side of the pool, making its way slowly up to halfway. And there's the camera engineer, Eric Straley, just making sure that everything's alright. Then we have another stoppage. Puck well in the far corner, and GB will have an advantage puck. Meanwhile, the French coach signals that he would like to take his team timeout for the first half. Vincent, can you hear me, by the way? And away we go once again. GB had the advantage puck, but It's France who bring it to this near side wall. And France trying to go down as Fee Maynard makes a quick sub. There she is, entering the fray. Advantage being played on the surface of the water. And GB now getting the way with the fouls, as France are starting to get pushed back little bit by little bit, and GB is slowly building, hopefully, to the first goal within the match. Flicked forward by Alyssa Oates of Plymouth. And then Fiona Maynard trying to get down to the French, and this is the closest that the GB team has been to the French goal so far in this half. And they're trying to move it into that central channels, coming off on the 45 from the wall. There's Fee Maynard trying to get the puck right onto that back wall. Pressured very well there by France. They got a good control on this game so far. 4.5 minutes left in the first half, as the French are really starting to try and come down this barrier side wall, which they've been favouring through this game more than the far side wall. Possibly remembering the fitness that GB had from the Quebec Worlds, as Fiona Kirkby there gets down, making her return to this GB Elite team for this tournament. And there's Kim Mokes, trying to just stop that French player getting all the way across into the centre of the pool. And there's a chance now for GB to break with the puck through halfway. It's going to be a long way to swim. It's Janet Fletcher. Janet Fletcher gets to halfway, and then she's stopped first time by the French defender. Now France trying to come down the wall again. France resetting as Michelle McQuinney stops on the barrier side. More Gins trying to come with it down the barrier side wall. And there's Rachel Hickey trying to force her way through, once again, 3 French players. France trying to bring it off the wall. Michelle McQuinney's there, but we've got a stoppage in play. Advantage puck to GB. Alyssa Oates lines up the flick. Quite close to the French player, but play resumes. Play's going over to the far side of the pool. Play in the French defensive corner on the far side with a natural wall. But slowly now France getting their way further down the pool. The play now approaching halfway. GB trying to put the pressure on again down that back wall. The area that tests the most fitness, because you're nowhere near your subs area. And another stoppage. And it's France who gain the puck through an obstruction foul. And France, very, very nice, the French, bringing it back over to the cameras so we can all see. Svi Kirkby, left-handed back for GB, gets the, tries to get the rip. over the puck, but she's unsuccessful. Michelle McQuinney there, and then we've got Rachel Hickey, who spins and turns and finds a hole, but then plays come to a stop. And they said number 2, but that's Maddie Hollick, and Maddie Hollick is on the side with Diana, so it's Sam Marlowe who's come out of the pool. And she'll get a minute's time penalty. Flick wide, then onto the wall. GB have possession, but 2-on-1. Fiona Maynard doing her best to try and keep the puck off the 2 French players who had her surrounded. Rachel Hickey bringing the puck onto the barrier side wall. Just a bit of up-down work here for the GB players as Janet Fletcher moves onto the back wall. And the best chance now for France as they try and push onto the centre of the goal. But now a chance for Fee Maynard to swim, possibly, as Fee Maynard is forced towards the wall, and once again a stoppage. So Sam Marlowe won't be allowed in until the puck is touched as we start the second half. The score at half-time, France 0, Great Britain 0. Do you want me to put it into the centre and then you know? So you know where the camera's centre is?
Right there for
okay.
now. I'll fix it after the game. There's not enough time.
And here we go, ready to get underway in the second half. France win the strike and bring the puck out towards the barrier side wall. And now moving down into Great Britain territory. You can see Rachel Hickey there just coming onto the wall. Not able to stop the drive though, as play will move on to her back wall, because the layback was cut out well there by Sam Marlowe. And there's Lauren Dwyer, who just takes a hand to the face. France still well stocked in that corner as more Gins goes in and does a turn for the team. Fee Maynard attempting to take it out. Ferocious. Fierce. And she's still going. And by the way she was going, I would expect this to be a foul against France, the way she got more and more aggressive there, Fiona Maynard. Oh, nice little dummy there by the centre, and the flick just too far out of reach, but there's Fee Maynard again trying to come down this barrier side wall. But France now with some space to swim as Rachel Hickey goes down. The flick just escapes under Lauren Dwyer there. And GB in a spot of bother here as French are able to get quite far down that back wall. And this looks like it's going to be the first goal of the game for France. And it is. So Great Britain, who've been under pressure for the majority of this match, I'd say. The game's been played mostly in their half, and they've had a couple of chances to get out, but nothing that far, as we now can see Kai Waters in the front of our picture just signalling that he'd like to take his time out. So we've only had 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the second half, but now we've got a bit of an uphill struggle for the GB team. Only the one goal, and plenty of time left on the clock to do it, but in such a tight game where the French have defended very well, and also the stop and start, which doesn't allow GB to use their fitness and their faster players because they're unable to find the space because of how the French are closing them down. You really need to try and find a way back into this game. 30 seconds left of the timeout. So timeout over for Great Britain, and away we go. Even winning the strike first, the French got possession, and it's GB swimming backwards to start as they now swim back up to halfway, and just been turned around all the time by this French drive. GB bring it into the centre of the pool. Met there by France. And trying to find the space to swim in as the puck moves even further away. Trying to get down the back wall. But that's good for GB that they're able to make distance away from their own goal. But France now starting to push back. GB trying to bring it into the middle, somewhere they can have a bit more space to move and swim and try and either find the gaps or create them themselves. So there's a player who's going to be going out for 2 minutes, number 11. Number 11, Black, is going out after obstruction fouls for 2 minutes. And on the far side of the pool, here we go. GB electing to go straight, aiming at the French 5 that are in the water. GB now starting to get rolled back by the French, but seems to have come to a stop about 5 metres away from the GB goal, and GB move to the middle and then flick it back out wide. But France now, it seems, are swimming straight at Rachel Hickey, and they seem to have got past Rachel, and she's still swimming with them, but there's Lauren Dwyer who goes down to try and defend the goal, and I don't think this is a goal, but we're going to have a stoppage in play nonetheless. And apparently the puck was illegally knocked down, and they've decided to award a penalty shot. So Rachel Hickey to defend the French too. And unlike a few we've had earlier, that was not, she wasn't able to save it, and France take a rather commanding, as it would seem in the shape of the game, 2-0 lead over Great Britain. Off we go again. GB trying to swim it around the back, and doing so successfully, as it seems. Going over towards the far side wall. France, however, meet them there, and they can advance no more. France on the 45 trying to get to the goal, now forced onto the back wall as everything's positioned, and looks like it's going to be Great Britain 0, France 3. So France getting a bit of their own back. They don't seem to have let it slip that GB beat them 5-0 back in France, in a different competition that's going to be very close potentially between the teams of France, Spain and Great Britain. France beat Spain earlier in the day, score of 3-0. France trying to force a hole through the middle of the GB defence. And France being forced out wide, but they've had some success from those wider areas, trying to go down the back wall. It's a very clinical and persistent French attack that seems to be working rather well as France get close to the goal again, with the referee positioning himself near the goal tray. Here comes the drive from the French, trying to move down that back wall. Play moves back out to the far side wall. So GB still going to be under pressure here as France have another advantage puck. And a warning given to the French number 1 for her use of a stick. But still France with the advantage puck here. Rachel Hickey brings it over to this near side wall, and Kim Mokes, who was supporting her, now goes up. As Michelle McWhinney gets down, and Janet Fletcher gets the puck, spins around, passes it off to her teammate, and Lauren Dwyer there getting ready to try and force a hole through. Not able to go anywhere at the moment though. The French resistance staying very, very strong on the wall. But Laura getting the legs going, eventually makes some ground, and now GB have a chance to break with Fiona Maynard, but she's stopped. Not a lot of chances for the GB girls at the front to have any breaks, but same for France equally, as we now have an equal puck. Janet had a chance in the first half, and that was the first real chance for Fee Maynard, but the game just coming to a stop very, very quickly. Nice little cut inside by Alyssa there. She moves out to the left far side wall for GB. We've got another stoppage. All these stoppages good for France as time will continue to run down, and it looks like the French coach would like to take his time out here with 4 minutes remaining in the second half. How long is the microphone cable? Very. Seems fairly long.
One of the interviews? You want to sit outside this room?
And away we go. France with their advantage puck. Somewhere. On the wall again. Advantage being played. Trying to come towards the camera now. It's France being pressured that way as now the French going very backwards towards their own goal. Sam Marlowe trying to get in behind and back tackle and turn. Chance now for GB to come off and find the central channel. Been not allowed to turn to the inside and pushed even further to the outside. And the French will take control of the puck on the far side wall once again. Number 4, White, is going to take a minute. That's Michelle McWhinney. First player GB's had sent out since Sam Marlowe early in the first half for breaking. Try and find a hockey match. Play in the far corner, 20 seconds on Michelle McWhinney's clock, and we've entered the 2-minute stop clock time, so that should stop. It does on 1 minute 43. Now there's a team warning being given to Team GB for their use of the stick. Something that referees are trying not to do, give out team warnings in this competition, unless they have to. Try and give the individual warnings. France with another drive towards the GB goal as GB gets 6-on-6 hockey again. Looks like that's been cleared though by the GB girls. 1 minute 13 left in the half. It's going to be advantage to Great Britain. It's the heat, lack of coffee and no sleep. Puck in the melee. Trying to just figure out exactly where it is that GB can go and find place for it. It's not going to be such a positive team talk when you get back to the hotel. A lot of improvements will need to be made before the start of a double round robin. "40 seconds remain. GB with a chance now to try and get a consolation goal, but France have forced them wide, and France still with every player down, guarding that goal tray as GB take a breath and try and come back towards. But it's France who have now got a chance, an opportunity maybe to break away. If they get to the halfway line of the pool, and now a little bit more of the GB defence gets back into its position. And we're going to have at least one more stoppage. For an illegal advancement of the puck down the back wall by the French team, and that should, once we get underway, shortly be the game. The final score being, well, it's not yet the final score, but the likely final score being Great Britain 0, France 3. And that is the time. Thank you very much for joining us. We're glad that we've been able to get the live stream up and running before the end of the day. And tomorrow we hope to try and find some possible alternative solutions for visibility on the far side of the pool. Until then, goodbye.